Wi-Fi password? Yeah, we could probably figure that one out.
Oh, look.
Don't just display it down. Public.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I'm late,
I don't think it's quite clear enough for that, but I'm giving you the time. Awesome. The cheat sheet for Robert.
Okay, we're ready to go. Good evening, everyone. It's April 11th, 2023. Time is 6:09. Let's open the meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us safely together this evening. Please guide us in our deliberations and help us to make prudent and wise decisions for those whom we serve. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, roll call. American Legion 5, Harwood.
Here, Kelly.
American Legion 13, Plainfield.
Here, McGlasson.
Here, alternate, Rochford.
American Legion 18, John Olson. American Legion 52, Romeoville. American Legion 191, Lester Smith.
Here.
Here, one.
Thank you. American Legion 392, Piatone.
Robert Ruger, delegate. Open house,
American Legion 935, Manhattan.
Here, Robert Angone.
American Legion 1080, Joliet. American Legion 1200, Monique. American Legion 1288, Bolingbrook.
Both present, delegate and
DFW 367, Cantini.
Jim Clausen, delegate.
DFW 725, William Martin.
Delegate Hogan.
alternate, Cravens.
DFW 2199, Stone City. DFW 5422, Malcolm J. Mayo.
President Wally Wink, delegate.
DFW 5788, Lockport.
Present.
DFW 5819, Lamont. DFW 5917, Bolingbrook.
President John David.
DFW 9545, Harry Anderson.
President Clark Christensen, delegate.
So we have 10, we have quorum for the meeting, but not for the majority. You confident? Disregard my other page. That was just a test, to make sure everyone's paying attention. We have 13, and we have 2/3. Thank you. Okay. Election President Pro Tem.
Larry Shaver, delegate, 1288, Legion Bolingbrook. I nominate Raj.
I accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right.
All right, so next item on the agenda is introduction of guests and/or first-time attendees. I know there's a few people back there. If you don't mind standing up, just please introduce yourself.
Bill Montana, Plainfield Township Republican Organization Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
President Brandon Cantini.
Thank you, sir. I think that's it. So any public comments? Public comments can be 5 minutes per person, 30 minutes maximum. Any public comment? Okay. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes from previous meeting. You know, we say approval, but I had a conversation with Clark earlier. You know, as far as minutes go, we can accept them as presented or amended. A motion is not necessary. The minutes were actually up in the front. I'm hoping that everybody had a chance to look through them. They were also emailed about a week ago. Yeah, Saturday morning. So, any discussion on the minutes? Is that okay, Clark? Discussion? Any items to discuss on the March minutes? Okay, so the minutes are accepted as presented. Next item is the superintendent's report, and I will let Jen carry that.
All right, go ahead and pull out the award log from your packets. As you can see, total year to date, 1.853 million in new awards. Recurring awards from 2015 to present is 173 million. Below that, you can see the number of submissions we do as VSOs, the intent to file, which holds the effective date, the actual claim, which includes fully developed claims, standard claims, supplemental claims, appeals, higher level reviews, just any claim that goes up. Power of attorney, which is the representation, that's new. Those are pretty much new veterans that we've taken care of that we haven't taken care of in the past. And supporting documents is just any random document supported and submitted in support of the claim. Next, you can see the number of award letters received. Again, I've said it several times, the VA never notifies us when they get a letter. So this is based on either the VSO happening to find it, or the veteran reporting back to us. Since the last time we reported, we've added 43 new claims to the award log, totaling over 2,100 claims since 2015. Any questions?
Financial assistance, that's going to be the budget form here. So there are 5 categories that are in the direct aid fund, that's for our financial assistance. If you look down towards the middle, natural gas, for the month of March, we spent $80. For electricity, we spent $174.81. For water and sewer, we spent $52.70. We did not have to purchase any personal products. Those are the Aldi gift cards that are $25 each. We still have some remaining from the last year. And then for rentals, we spent $1,150, and we assisted a total of 3 veterans for the month of March. Are there any questions?
Yeah, you must have a different report.
We have different numbers.
I calculated the numbers on the side, sorry. So if you compare last month's report, it's the difference in, sorry, yeah. So when you look under actual expenditures, that is what has been spent to date for this fiscal year. So I subtracted last month's report with this month, sorry, should have explained that better when I did the math. Next report, I can put these numbers in the side so you can see, you don't have to go back and do math yourself, what was spent. We're doing really well when you look under percent used. We're right on the mark. We just finished our first quarter. So our budget, we're doing really well. That concludes my financial assistance report.
All right, so motion to file the superintendent's report. Sorry, you had a discussion point there?
Yeah, no. That was just a big motion.
Oh, okay.
I make a motion that, Mary Shaver 1288 Bolingbrook, make a motion that we accept the report as read. I'll second it.
All the ayes?
Aye.
Any nays? Any discussion? All right, so the report, motion to file the report has been accepted. So the next item is new business. You know, this was an item, I discussed it with Clark. It's more housekeeping. So I think many of you were at the last meeting. I struggled to hold the meeting because of, you know, overall lack of understanding of Robert's rules. So what I did over the past month is I read everything I possibly could on Robert's rules. I'm still not an expert at it, but it's a mechanism to keep order in these meetings, and I want everyone here to understand and respect what those are. And, you know, this sort of helps us keep the meeting moving fast and in order, and mainly to make sure that everyone's opinion is heard. There is a cheat sheet in here that Jen put together, but, you know, I had my own cheat sheet that, you know, I had sort of gotten myself, but some of the items that I'm just gonna mention is about the same. You know, justice and courtesy for all, maintenance of order, which I talked about, consideration of one item at a time, all sides get heard, and ability for each member to provide input. That's the purpose of this all. And, you know, there's a majority rule, meaning that more people vote on a resolution to pass it. And basically protection of the rights of every member that's here, that's a commission member. So some of this stuff, you know, everyone is already following, but the challenge that I had last time, we have how many commission members here? 10, 14, 15? Okay. So I think my point was going to be that most public bodies or any boards, you know, they have about 7 or 8 people. We have a lot more than that. So it's imperative that we all understand what is being motioned, you know, even if it's the minutes, and what's being passed before you vote on it. Because if you don't understand it and vote on it, you know, we have a situation kind of like what we had in the past. So I just wanted to put it out there. You guys have the cheat sheet in front of you. Please read it if you're a commission member. Try to understand it so we can, you know, bring order to the meetings going forward. Because there's a lot of eyes on us. I mean, there's laws passed because of us and things like that. So I just wanted everyone to be aware. That's really it. This probably shouldn't have been a new business. As Clark explained to me, it should have been in for the good of commission session, but I just wanted to mention it before we move forward. So old business is the next item. We're going to go for an update by the Bylaw Review Committee. Clark?
That's me. All right, so we worked really, really hard to get this to you guys, this meeting. And what Jen had sent out earlier in the week was our final draft of the bylaws as, you know, as we see them after taking feedback the last meeting. We tried to incorporate all the feedback that we got, but we got them out to you early so that you could read them and determine if there was any issues that you wanted to point out or any problems that you wanted to bring up with the bylaws that we need to go and address. There is one piece out there that I know that is incomplete at the moment, and that is we were not sure about the best regularly scheduled meeting date. So I think previously it was the second Tuesday of the month. That conflicts with, a number of post meetings and things like that. For instance, both Raj and Lisa stand to miss their meeting tonight from the Plainfield American Legion because tonight's their meeting night. That said, the bylaws also talk about moving to a quarterly meeting cadence, which then allows for us to have a little bit more flexibility, because no matter what, we're going to be stepping on somebody's toes, try to step on the fewest toes, but then it's only 4 times a year. So Eric's handing out a calendar here. This shows a monthly calendar with all of the different post-meeting schedules. So we wanted to determine what we think is the appropriate date to meet on going forward, and then we can take that information, include that in the bylaws, and then if we want to vote on the bylaws, we can vote on them, assuming this addition being made. I'm just looking at this calendar here, and it's looking like the second Wednesday is pretty wide open, and the fourth Wednesday is pretty wide open, or we could go for Tuesday. Is there any preference here, Tuesday, Wednesday? Do you want to do middle of the week, earlier in the week? Lisa?
So just for discussion's sake, I kind of looked at this calendar too, and if we have it later in the month, if we're doing every quarter, then a lot of the meetings happen in the first couple weeks. A lot of you have your post meetings in the first 2 weeks, so if we have our meeting toward the end, it's still fresh, and you're kind of going back, and I hope we're all taking information back.
Yep.
Otherwise, it also gives you the opportunity to have your meeting, and if we're later, you can bring issues to us, to this body, that you have in your local.
So would our meeting, or would our quarterly meeting fall on on December, or on, so it'd be March, April, May, and June, then July, August, September, October, November, and then December. The problem with December is if we had it late in the.
Right, I would watch, when is our fiscal year, once we have to approve something to submit, and
So
that's where I would start.
I spoke to the budget director this morning, Rashawn Smith, just to verify the dates. So I have to present the budget request to the county by the last week of June. So that actually works. We have a June meeting. That June meeting will be before the budget is due to the county for the commission to approve. So the fiscal year for us is December 1 to November 30, but the dates that are significant for us as far as submitting the budget is the June meeting. And so if that is the timeline that falls.
So that would give us June, September, November, March. We wouldn't have a December meeting. If we went with the fiscal year, knowing we have something that's due every year at that time, might be a reason to hold our meetings.
March works out for the delegates.
And March works out for the delegates as well.
Okay. So, fourth Tuesday, does anyone have a conflict with the fourth Tuesday? And I'm assuming, Eric, this is a current list of the post meeting nights for all of the posts that we have delegates for?
Yes, actually, I got a section later on in the commission on this, but this, the gray ones are the post meetings, green ones are post events, blue ones are VSO outreach. This is from our community calendar, this is from our calendar on the website. So yeah, the post meetings are all in gray.
All right, so, it looks like if we went with the, fourth Tuesday, we'd be clear of anybody's meetings, we'd be late in the month, so we're not conflicting, we're not doubling up, you don't have a week where you've got multiple meetings, we're trying to spread this out. Does that seem like a rational, rational date to put down in the bylaws is our regular, meeting cadence.
Well, the thing is, if it's December, you know, I mean, you're around the
Well, we
holiday.
said November.
So we can flex that?
June, September, November, March.
Okay, access is April.
And again,
I know.
March is when our delegates are due
Excellent.
by law.
So, would you say,
November, there may be a conflict with Thanksgiving.
not on a Tuesday,
It's on a Tuesday, but I mean, that's,
it'd be close,
yeah.
it'd be close.
But I could go with
I
the,
like it.
and if it's that same week, the time before, we could change it. Very good window.
Yeah, but
No, I agree, I like that.
we put a motion out there now?
No, I think that the first thing we do is we say, Lisa, what were the months?
June, September, November, March.
June, September, November, March, 4th Tuesday. Do we have a consensus? You know, everybody that's, go ahead.
11,
Say again?
Article 11, Section 1 is what we're referring to.
All right, so Article 11, Section 1, the proposed fill-in there will be those months for the 4th Tuesday. Let's just get a consensus. Everybody that's good with that, raise their hand. Anybody who's opposed to that? All right, so we'll go with that. Now, that was the one piece that I knew that was unresolved in those bylaws. Kruger, did you have something?
Yes, Article 11, Section 2. The secretary shall inform all members of the commission at least 3 days prior to the date of the meeting. And 3 days just isn't enough time.
At least. The reason for that is because of the OMA restrictions that's not there to say that they have to do it at 3 weekdays. That's to say that they have to do it at least 3 days before the meeting in order for us to stay in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. And I think that for emergency meetings, that's been the 3 days has been the standard for emergency meetings for a really long time. Otherwise, regular meetings will be, under a regular schedule. Any other questions? John?
How would that notification be? Phone, email, letter?
Not letter.
Up until this point, it's been,
Example.
up until this point, the communication directly with the delegates is email. But don't forget that any meeting that we have has to be made public. So all of these meetings are then posted on our calendar and are public to anyone who wants to see that. So internally, we've got email addresses for everyone. But externally, we have a website where we publish all of these meetings, even if it's a special meeting, 3 days in advance.
I have a suggestion, for a special meeting that's scheduled outside the norm, I would send an email and also follow it up with a phone call, just to make sure in case you're not checking your emails, in case you're not expecting it. So for special meetings, we'll send an email, follow it up with a phone call.
It's one of those things that it behooves the office to get the information out because they don't want to show up to one of these and not have a quorum. Yes?
Text instead of a phone call, maybe.
Well, it's both. It'll be both. You'll get it 3 ways. You'll get an email, and it'll be followed up with a phone call if you don't respond to the email. And it'll be followed up with the fact that that schedule is posted on the website, all the time. Any other questions or issues with the bylaws as they sit? Yes,
Just
sir.
to clarify, so we replace the X's with 4th Tuesday.
Well, I think we'll replace the X's with the months, or the months are in there. Or the months are in there, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at it right now. Yes, we'll replace the X's with the 4th Tuesday,
And we're changing December to November.
and we're changing December to November. Yes,
Article 5,
Section 3, delegate and alternate will be selected from members of good standing in each organization. Each delegate and alternate must be an active discharge veteran.
Yes.
I believe we voted on that to open it up to all members of your post, your auxiliary.
We
whether or
did.
not they serve.
And actually, I was expecting this one, and I'm sorry I didn't point this one out. We did talk about this. We didn't necessarily vote, we discussed, because, you know, there was no motion made, but we discussed it, and we did say that we wanted to, as a commission, we felt that we should open it up. But here's the problem, and this is a valid argument, because I'm on the side of opening it up myself. And we can change it, but this is where we run into. At that meeting, we had, the Attorney General there, who wrote the law. And he specifically said that his intention, even though it's not obvious to us, his intention was that it be honorably discharged veterans. A member of the organization that is referring to delegate. That was his interpretation of what he wrote down on that paper. We've asked him for an official ruling or official paper stating what the intention of the law is. And we haven't gotten it, but we know that that's what it will be because he said it in that meeting. So the reason why we went ahead and threw that in there is because if we go the other direction, as soon as we get that communication that we know is coming to tell us that the intention is to only include people who are members of the organizations that are appointing the delegates, we'll immediately have to revise our bylaws again. So this is the reason why we went in that direction, because we already know. We already know what's coming down. Whether we agree with it or not, we already know what's coming.
It'll include both delegate or alternate.
Yes, because the alternate would be voting as the primary if the primary delegate's not available. Any other questions?
So, hey, Clark?
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify that they can still be appointed as a non-commissioned member, correct?
If you read through the bylaws, there are appointed positions like chaplain and I believe secretary and sergeant at arms or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are appointed, and we specifically stated in the bylaws that those appointed positions can be held by members that are not delegates, but they don't have voting rights on the commission. So they can participate. For instance, if there was a reverend who was a very, well-esteemed reverend who was really into veterans' rights and all that stuff, and wanted to participate in this, we could appoint him as our chaplain, yet he does not have a vote on the commission. Any other questions or input? All right, if that's the case, then I'm going to move right to the next item on the agenda, which is a motion, and that is the Bylaws Committee is making a motion that we accept the bylaws as presented with the one change that will be the addition of the fourth Tuesday as our scheduled meeting night. And the month change from December to November to avoid Christmas, and that addition will go in. So I move that we accept these bylaws as presented with that change. Yes.
Sorry, I had one more discussion.
Oh, yes.
We discussed it a little bit before. So, the JAG is right now an officer position.
Yes.
It has to be elected. And what we were talking about, so Lisa is currently the JAG. She's a lawyer. And, I guess the situation is that you can't have two people
Correct.
on the same post. If me and her are both on the officer board, then as it's written down currently, she can't be on there or I can't be on there. But, I guess my point was that if there's anybody that should be the JAG, it should probably be Lisa, at least, make an opinion here, but I wonder if we should discuss if the JAC position should be a non-voting position that still allows her to be involved.
The reason why we made, it's not a voting versus non-voting, it's a elected versus non-elected position.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And the reason why we included the judge advocate as being an elected officer was because I think we also put the judge advocate as the committee chair for the reviews. So these two things tie together where we need to have sort of a standing committee for any sort of claims reviews that we need to do, claims disputes, or I think that's right, claims disputes, is that correct? And so, in order to do that, we assigned the judge advocate as the standing chair for that committee, as one of the elected officers. And if we moved it to be an appointed position, and appointed a non-veteran and a non-delegate to that position, then I'm not sure how that would play out as far as making those kinds of decisions.
I've actually been operating as a non-delegate up until March. I was not a delegate until March this
Yeah.
year. So I was not a voting member of the
Yes.
commission. Just,
Yep.
yeah, I want to get involved in what the commission
Yeah.
wants, just for clarification.
Yeah. So that was our decision. Now, we want to change that, we can certainly do that. And if,
Now,
yes,
if you put her in an appointed position, she's still a voting right then.
she has a voting right because she's a delegate.
Right.
But
But
if she
that's
wasn't
still
a delegate,
conflict.
she wouldn't be able to vote. Right? So think about it, don't think
Well, she's
about it,
appointed, but it would still, she'd still be able to vote, but it wouldn't.
don't think about it in terms of Lisa.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but
Think about it
anybody
in
in that
terms
position.
of anybody. If there was an esteemed lawyer that we wanted to appoint as our judge advocate, then that person does not have a vote on the commission because they're appointed if we move.
But I thought we
judge-
said, I thought we wrote in the bylaws that you still have the permission, if they're a delegate, they get to vote.
They do. I'm saying if they aren't a delegate, they would be judge advocate, they would not have a vote, yet they would be the chairman of the dispute.
But say if Lisa became appointed, would she still have a vote? Yes. No.
No,
Yes.
you'd have a conflict there because you would still have Lisa as a vote. And also Raj, if he was present as a vote, that's two votes from the same post.
The
If Ralph was president, he would have a vote.
Be a delegate.
He loses.
there's two problems with that. First of all, the president loses their right to vote except for a tie. Second of all, it doesn't matter if there's two people here from the same post. The primary gets the ability to vote. Doesn't matter. So, and just because you're an elected officer doesn't give you any more or less voting rights than in previous iterations of the bylaws, yes. Being an elected officer of this commission gave you something that seems to give you something, a voting right that may not exist. But in this situation, we've written it in such a way where your voting rights as a delegate are one thing, your existence as an officer is another thing. If you are a delegate, then you can vote regardless of whether you're an officer or not, regardless of whether you're appointed or not. The only change in how the votes go is that the elected president loses their vote in favor of getting, they get to then break the tie.
So one just consideration is that the officer positions are elected each year, and the appointed positions carry on until you remove the person from the appointed position.
That's not,
So again, looking at appeals and the March to March and things like that, can we foresee that one would be advantageous?
yes.
If we don't have a lawyer in the group of delegates, how does that person fulfill the staff judge advocate role?
I don't think you need to be a lawyer. I think it's just like your,
God-given ability.
Right.
it's just like your.
Many counties have a judge advocate who's not a judge. I just happen to have.
You have to take into consideration that they know their job, and their job is not necessarily to be a lawyer, but their job is to know the rules and regulations governing this body. And that goes all the way to the MBA, which governs the body. So you would, if you were a judge advocate, it would behoove you to know all the rules and regulations, the OMA and everything concerning, the commission.
So it's nice, if they're a lawyer, not necessary. Okay? So what do we want to do about this judge advocate situation? Do we want to move judge advocate to an appointment?
So here's what I was thinking.
Yes.
So is it possible to move the sergeant at arms position as a officer position and move the JAG to an appointed position?
I see two ways to do this. Three. You can move JAG out to an appointed position. Stop. Done. Or you can flip-flop. JAG and sergeant at arms, and you're done. And the third one would be to remove the requirement that all of the elected officers are from different posts. That's another option. Now, what's the purpose of restricting elected officers to not having two from one post? And the easy answer would be to say to limit the power, but the reality is that there is no power in the elected officers anymore. They're simply servants of the commission. So like I could make the argument that we could remove that requirement and still be okay, but I'd be open to suggestions. Yes, sir.
Well, then you run into a problem there because of the standing rule now. If the alternate and the delegate are here, only one has a vote. If you made it that way, then both would have a vote in the same.
No, it's
already in the bylaws, they don't need the delegate to give their vote.
Yeah, no matter what, only one vote per league.
The bylaws have now separated your voting rights from your elected status. Your elected status grants you no more privilege than you would have based on your delegate status. You don't get any new privileges. You're actually, in this case, the president loses privilege because the president doesn't vote except for in the event of tie. So your voting rights are determined by your delegate status, and then your officer rights, it's really just your officer duties are determined by the elected office, right? So again, there's three ways we could address this if we feel like addressing it. One would be, move the JAG down to appointed. We could swap the JAG in an appointment like sergeant at arms, or we could just remove the requirement that there be no two people from the same post elected.
I'd say, like, the way we got it set up now, that there is no power, real power, there's no, I don't wanna say that word, that board, and that it don't matter if there's two people from the same post, because there's no power anywhere, nobody has any more say so anymore.
Yep.
It's, you wanna talk, you talk, you wanna talk, you talk, right, hey, let's guys go do this anymore. That's what
Yes,
it's
sir.
set about.
It's in there because of the appearance of power, whether power is true or not.
True.
The president does have power, he runs the meetings.
He does.
They have two people from the same organization sitting at the top table, that is a presentation of power.
Yep.
It doesn't work, that's why only one from each organization.
Right, I think we do keep it that way.
Okay.
I think we can probably move the JAG position down as a point, so they're not given that appearance. Right.
Or is there a reason why we made it three?
Yeah, for just the two of the three, sometimes in an emergency situation, like when COVID came out, we relied on four, and two isn't gonna work. So we kinda needed a three-person, because there may be some emergency fiscal issues, tornado, things like that that happen.
There may be times.
We left it at 3 elected because though it tends to violate a quorum and all that stuff, in an emergency event, something happens, we can't call a commission meeting together, some decisions have to be made, we wanted at least 3 people that were elected officers that could move forward in an emergency in the event that we can't call this meeting together, right? So that was 3. So if we don't want to remove the restriction of the 2 people per, if we want to make the JAG an appointment, then we can flip-flop the JAG and somebody else, which could be Sergeant at Arms. Yes?
Can I clarify for everybody knows, the emergency would be if it was something that had to be decided within the 72-hour notice before we did.
Yeah, under the 72-hour notice.
Yeah,
that we have to
something
give
had to happen within 24 hours, and it had to be an emergency. It ain't where, if we get a meeting, we get a meeting. If it's something they need money, and if you wait, it's, hey, we call 72 hours, that's a meeting. If a natural disaster happens, and they need money right away or something, that's an emergency. It ain't, that's the only, I want to make sure to clarify the emergency.
Yes, sir.
I would say another option, I'm not looking for more options, but another option would be just to say that the president and vice president could not be from the same post. The judge advocate is really a staff type position usually, and oftentimes in organizations, the lawyer is related to the president, right, in terms of function.
That is an option as well, yes.
The whole thing here is, I keep worrying about, the board has no power.
They don't.
The whole power is what is sitting in this room
Yes.
when you guys show up and we vote.
It's the
That's
first
who
time.
runs this meeting. They're sitting up there just reading through the agenda. We're the ones that make the decisions. Doesn't matter if there's 2, 3 of the same people sitting up there in the same post. They don't do anything. They're not driving it one way or the other. It's up to us.
Let's swap them out. And bang this up, right? Let's swap out the positions. Move on to the next item.
Yes, sir.
To reiterate the position I stated earlier, yes, the board does have power because according to this, the judge advocate will manage the appeals process. The president is managing the meeting. Last time I checked, those are power positions.
You're talking about managing.
Managing, well, last time I checked, management has the power, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but no, I don't think so.
I think one thing we have to take into consideration, we know what we're talking about. But when you go to the outside, to the media and to, general public, they don't know what we're talking about. So if they look and they say, well, who sits on the board? Who are the officers? Well, you got 2 guys from so-and-so and somebody appointed from the same post. Now you're gonna run into a problem because it's gonna get construed as being an imposition of impropriety.
Right, so I think what it boils down to is appearance, not having 2 people in the front that looks like there's too much power, and that's still, appearance of power is still a legitimate argument. So I think if we swap out the position so that doesn't happen, but my whole point was Lisa's been involved for a while, she's contributed quite a bit. So I was just putting it out there, how do we keep her more involved from that position to actually benefit from her knowledge? And I think that was the basis of what I was trying to. But I know that there's different ways we can sort of cut this, but I just wanted to, I wanted the basis not to be forgotten. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Clark, I think the best solution to this is to go back to the flip-flop and make the judge advocate an appointed position and the sergeant at arms an elected position.
So then, the only question that I have about that is that if we make the judge advocate an appointed position, is that going to fulfill the requirements for the appeals process?
There's no reason the sergeant at arms cannot be in charge of expediting the appeals process. I mean, the judge advocate still have a role as an appointed judge advocate to advise.
Yep.
It just says an elected officer, and even that can be amended, because that's what was in the
Do
BAC
that.
policy, which has to be updated anyways.
That seems like a rational way to go.
The judge advocate in the policy is the judge, so to speak, the arbiter.
Yeah.
In that hearing. And so the sergeant at arms could be the parliamentarian for the meetings, and also then get a group together. That way you don't have your arbiter choosing who's gonna be on that committee that comes for the hearing, because we have to make sure that we represent all eras and services and things like that in those hearings. And so your sergeant at arms could do that, it would separate the judge advocate from the sergeant at arms. I'm not saying where they go, I'm just talking about their roles.
I think we have a good solution to this. And my big question will be that, are we comfortable with approving the bylaws with 3 changes? The first change being the XXXX to the second Tuesday, or 4th Tuesday of the month. The second change is to swap the judge advocate and the sergeant at arms as far as elected and appointed. And then the third change would be to make the sergeant at arms the chairman of the appeals process instead of the judge advocate. So, if we're all good with that, I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
1 second. On 7, number 1, if you look at Article 7, number 1, it says the commission may elect a chaplain, secretary, and sergeant at arms. These positions do not serve.
You're right.
Are not specified terms, so that would have to be changed as well.
We would just have to change that
no.
article.
No, that would be okay, if we just swap, if we were to move sergeant at arms up into section 1, and that's what I was saying earlier, is the judge advocate, I've crossed a couple of terms now, and you would wanna maybe hold that person.
So we're taking judge advocate out of section 1, put it in section 2, taking sergeant at arms out of section 2, put it in section 1.
And also the chaplain. Chaplain's going to be an appointed position, not an elected.
Chaplain is already in section 2.
It's in section 1 too.
Wait.
No,
Section 1, the commission may elect a chaplain.
we use the word elect because the law used the word elect.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Article 6 versus Article 7, not section. So Article 6 is about our elected officers. Article 7 is about the elected position, or they should be appointed positions, shouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. It shouldn't be elected, it should be appointed. Yeah.
But I guess there's no reason why we can't select it.
That's the law said elected.
I think it's written elected, if no one is elected, then there's an appointment. That's the way it's.
Wait.
Section 2.
There was an election of the commission, I elected to accept me into the position. I wasn't appointed by the commissioner.
Right.
I was elected by the entire commission.
Appointed by the president, approved by the commission.
Right, approved by the commission.
Can we change elected to approved, or appointed approved?
Yeah, approve would be better, that way the commission has to approve any question.
Or it's not necessarily.
I think if we change it to appointment, it probably makes sense. I mean, it's, just from the outside, from appearance, officers and appointed positions makes more sense than how it looks now. I mean, so it's more of a matter of semantics. So I think if we want to add that as a 4th item. And then we can motion to adopt.
All right, so here's where I'm at. If you guys disagree with this, that's fine. Vote me down and we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll bring this back next month with these corrections added. But my motion will be that we accept the bylaws as presented with 4 changes. The X's are changed to the 4th Tuesday in the month. The month is changed from December to November. The judge advocate and sergeant at arms are switched from between the Article 6 and Article 7. The sergeant at arms becomes the chairman of the appeals process. And last but not least, we change Article 7 from elected positions to appointed positions. And then we leave the election verbiage in there because we want to vote on that. So that's the 5 changes. I make a motion that we do that.
Hogan, 7:25 seconds.
All right,
We have a second.
we have a second.
I second it based on the commission's approval.
Any more discussion on this one? Actually, this is your line.
Yeah, so now we have. So I have to restate what Clark mentioned. I mean, do I have to do it? Okay, so the motion is to adopt the bylaws as amended with those 5 changes. Okay? So just so everybody knows that. And now we move to discussion, correct?
Yes.
Is there any more discussion on that motion? So we're going to take a roll call vote on this?
I do have one point that my colleague just brought up, that perhaps we should flip these articles in number. The officers, and flip the officers, the Article 8 and Article 7, just flip the article. 8 becomes 7 and 7 becomes 8. Because that puts appointed after election. Semantics, but it would be proper order. You can't appoint somebody until you have somebody.
Follow an order, is what you're saying.
Yes. And it's a very simple change, we just change the article.
I don't have appointments before elections, we have elections first.
So he's talking about, correct, that's what I'm saying.
This is Article 8.
Article 8,
That way it
Article 8
follows.
would become Article 7.
Those are appointed.
No, those are elected. Nominations and elections.
So nominations likes to come before appointments.
So you'd have to move 6, 6 would have to become 7.
No, 7 would become 8 and 8 becomes
8
7.
becomes 7, that's, what I'm saying.
We have all the information about elections together, and then once
Right.
everybody's
It
elected.
wouldn't change any of the verbiage in the articles, it would just change the setting of the article.
Sorry, Clark, really quick, so we have a sort of a Robert's Rules concern here because we have a motion on the floor, and unless someone makes a subsidiary motion, we have that, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, discussion was before, but, go ahead, Clark.
I don't think this is a material change. And so my motion still stands and the second still stands. We're in discussion and this is like if we had a misspelling or something like that. You know,
All it is housekeeping.
So
That's fine.
I think that if we switching the order of something is immaterial, and if it looks cleaner, great. But the material portion of these changes are still in my motion, and I think that still holds.
Okay, so how I make the motion, I think from that standpoint, we can make a note to update and switch these things around. So now we're gonna have roll call. Yes, sir.
Information, I would like to have the changes, just the sections where there's a change read, so that everyone knows exactly what is being changed.
All right.
Okay, I guess we can do that. Is that all right, Clark?
Yes, I can do that. I've got this in front of me. So, so the first change was, let me find it here real quick. First change was Article 11, meetings, Section 1. It,
Why don't we go in order?
Starts at 5.
Oh,
Confused.
all right.
Start
I'm sorry.
6.
All right, so Article 5,
or 6.
or 6, Article 6 is officers. The first change will be that we will In section 1, we'll drop judge advocate.
Or, sorry,
Oh.
I think what he wants you to do is read it
Oh, read
as
it, read
it
it.
will be written.
Okay.
Is that right, sir?
Yeah.
All right, so Article 6, Section 1, officers of this commission shall be president and vice president and sergeant at arms. That's change number 1. Where is it that we appoint the judge advocate to?
So change 2 is the number.
Article 8.
Yeah, change the number. to
Article 8 becomes Article 7.
No, hold on. I'm trying to find these things myself. No, I'm looking, where?
So Article 7 will now become Article 8.
No.
Yes, that's
First
right.
Article 7.
And the title will be changed to appointed positions.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, where in this document have we said that the judge advocate is the chairman of the appeals committee?
Article 10.
We don't have it yet, we're not there yet.
Okay, I didn't want, I was looking for it, making sure that I didn't skip. All right, so, change 1, Article 6, Section 1, officers of this commission shall be president, vice president, and sergeant at arms. The next change, Article 8 will be called appointed positions. Is currently Article 7, but it will be Article 8, and it will be called appointed positions instead of elected positions. Then within the new Article 8, which is currently Article 7, Section 1, the commission may elect a
Should be
chaplain.
appointed, right? You just said that they're appointed, not elected.
Yeah, appointed.
I mean, that's why.
What, Lisa? Do you want to read
Read
it?
down the wording.
What?
I wrote it all, do you want?
Yes, why don't you go ahead, and you took notes, I didn't.
So Article 8, which was previously Article 7, will be appointed positions. Section 1, the commission may appoint a chaplain, secretary, and judge advocate. The remainder of that section remains the same. These positions do not serve specified term limits and do not have voting rights beyond those granted by their delegate status.
That's not changing, so.
That's not
we're gonna
changing,
Skip that.
yeah.
You don't have to read the whole bylaw.
Section 3, individuals serving in these appointed positions need not be a member of the commission to serve.
Okay, Lisa.
Section 2, also, the absence of a duly appointed secretary, the superintendent shall appoint a secretary.
Okay, Lisa, isn't it supposed to be the president appoints and the commission approves?
Oh, right. Article 8.
Right.
Previously said.
So commission may elect should be the president, may appoint, and the commission will approve. And then does that approval need to be majority?
I think that could be just a majority, isn't it? I would see no reason.
That would be a majority vote. That's not a two-thirds. Okay, so section 1 will now read, the president may appoint and the commission approve a chaplain, secretary, and judge advocate. You okay with that?
Everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next.
All right. Section 2 in that same article, newly appointed 8, the absence of a duly appointed secretary, the superintendent shall appoint a secretary. Section 3, individuals serving in these appointed positions need not be members. Next change is Article 11 regarding meetings, Section 1. The regular meeting of the commission shall be held on the 4th Tuesday once every quarter, with meetings typically falling in the months of March, June, September, and November at the office or other suitable locations.
Article 10.
Yes.
Article 10 first.
Judge advocate, sergeant at arms.
Yes.
That's one on this.
Board of Appeals.
Board of Appeals.
That's right.
10, Board of Appeals. So section 1 is changed to the sergeant at arms will manage the appeal process in accordance with the WCBAC appeal process. The appeals board will be established, the rest is the same. So I don't think we altered the motion in any way.
No, we did not.
Just reiterated.
We're just, so are we ready to state the question? We're ready. Okay, so I'm gonna state the question again, just for the purpose of Robert's rules. It's the motion to adopt the bylaws as amended with the changes that we spoke about. We have a first and a second. We're gonna call roll.
American Legion 5, Harwood.
Kelly approved, delegate.
AL 13, Marne, Plainfield.
Alexa approved.
AL 18, John Olson, Lockport. AL 52, Romeoville. AL 199, Lester Smith, Wilmington.
Anyone, yes?
AL 392, Piatone.
Hoover, yes.
AL 935, Manhattan.
Angoni, yes.
AL 1080, Joliet.
Maybe votes aye.
AL 1200, Monique. AL 1288, Bolingbrook.
Shaver, delegate, votes aye.
VFW 367, Cantigny, Joliet.
Clausen, yes.
VFW 725, William Martin.
Hogan approved.
VFW 2199, Stone City. VFW 5422, Malcolm J. Mayo, Wilmington.
Williams approved.
VFW 5788, Lockport.
Carberry, aye.
VFW 5819, Lamont. VFW 5917, Bolingbrook.
David, yes.
VFW 9545, New Lenox.
Christensen, yes.
Federici, yes.
Unanimous.
We have a unanimous.
Nice job.
I'll leave just that if you want.
Nice job, you guys.
Just a quick comment. You know, Larry and Robert helped me out a ton, but I think that they both agree with me that, that Lisa did the massive amount of, just, you know, grunt work, you know, involved in getting this, involved in getting those documents, completely, all sorted out. So let's have a big round of applause.
All right, congratulations, guys. I think we probably made a little bit of history here. What happened, so the motion to adopt the bylaws as amended carries. We're going to move on to the next section, which is the nominations and elections, now that we have the bylaws. So this is a point that I wanted to make. I had a conversation with Clark before on this. So nominations do not require a second, it requires acceptance. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, 'cause I'm not the, exactly the expert here, that's why I'm relying on some of you guys. So if there's only one nomination for any of these positions, it can be approved by acclamation, meaning that there does not need to be a vote, there's nobody else to vote. If that makes sense.
Yes, the president or President Pro Tem, would have a secretary, and one secretary is not a voting member, so president or vice president would have to get one unanimous.
Not true, Larry.
No?
That's the meter's rules. Robert's rules, just, it happens.
It's done. Hope you don't go away, Clark. How would we know? Okay, so now there's 3 positions. Now those positions have changed. Now it's president, vice president, sergeant at arms, correct? Okay, I just want to make sure. So, for president, I'm going to call for nominations.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm
You gotta have
sorry.
those.
We're gonna have to hand out forms because in order to do voting, if there are 2 nominations, you have to actually vote.
Can we wait for that in case there are?
Do the nominations.
The ballot is a single page for all.
Can we just take nominations and then if there's only one, we're done?
Well, but we got 3 positions, so.
You got 3, but if there's only one per position, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, that's just timing. Well, let's just move forward and.
Yeah.
So, nominations for president.
Chamber, 1288 Bolingbrook, American Legion. I would like to nominate, Raj.
Thank you. I'll accept the nomination. Any other nominations?
I would comment, I would move that Jen take over the meeting for this part of the election.
Sure. I don't have any issues with that. My job is to stay impartial through any process as chairman of the meeting, whether pro tem or not.
Just for
Yes, sir.
semantics.
That's fine.
So, picking up, so we have a nomination from Larry Shaver for Raj. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for president? Are there any other nominations for president?
Move that the nominations be closed for president.
There be no more nominations and there only being one contestant by acclamation, Raj is now president.
Not if it's like he says, if it's just all, there's no other than
Moving on, vice president. Are there any nominations?
This is going to be me. I'd like to nominate John Gavin, Vice President.
Thank you.
Chamber, 1288 Bolingbrook.
Do you accept?
If somebody else wants it, I'll take it and do it unless somebody else wants it.
Are there any other nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Robert Antonio.
Are there
I
any other
withdraw.
nominations for vice president?
Did you hear that? That's right, Jen.
Yes.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. No, I agree. I usually can't hear, but yeah, Robert Angoni. Yes.
No, Mr. Gavin.
You declined.
Right, I heard that.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Mr.
Yeah.
John Devin.
Robert accepted, I withdraw.
Okay, are there any other nominations for vice president? One last time, are there any other nominations for vice president? Close, Robert.
Congratulations. Go ahead, Release.
Moving on. Are there any nominations for sergeant at arms?
William Maystrak, Bolingbrook 1288, I nominate Larry Shaver for Sergeant at Arms.
Do you accept that?
Yes, I do.
Are there any other nominations for sergeant at arms? Are there any other nominations for sergeant at arms? Larry stands, congratulations.
So,
The positions don't take effect until the next regular session.
okay, so we are going to do the appointments in June, correct? So, okay, so that's when we're gonna do the appointments in June. Everyone understands that?
I would say that you would carry on the previous people who were in those positions would carry on until the next.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, so that was. Okay, so we have a letter that we need to discuss, and we have to go into closed session for that. So I think the best way to probably do this. Okay, so I'm going to motion, and the way, so I'm gonna ask for a motion, and what I'm asking for is to enter, for the floor to make, somebody on the floor to make a motion to enter closed session for two things, and I have to call this out based on the rules. It's 5 ILCS 120/2, Section 2C21, approval of closed meeting minutes from February 21st, 2023. Second item is 5 ILCS 120/2, Section 2C11, litigation.
Motion make a motion. I'd like to make a motion on ASILCS 122, Section 2C21, approval of closed minutes of February 21st. Also, B, 5 ILCS 120-2, Section 2C11, litigation.
All right. So we have a motion. Okay, all the ayes? Aye. Any nays? Okay, any discussion? Okay, so we're going to move into closed session. The best way to probably do this is going to be for the commission members to stay in this room and for the audience to enjoy a beverage downstairs. And I'm assuming the bar is open.
Downstairs.
Okay. So
National Submarine.
It is. National Submarine Day.
So the
Sandwich or Navy?
So the staff is going to stay because the staff received the letter. Okay, so if the audience members, if you don't mind, please enjoy a beverage, and we'll have to move into closed session.
Delegates, not a delegate or alternate.
If you're not a delegate or alternate.
Delegates and alternates.
They're welcome. So delegates and our alternates can stay, and we'll have a drink afterwards.
You buy it, right?
That's,
Yeah, now suddenly is hearing from.
okay, so now we only have delegates and alternates in the room, correct?
Eric's gonna pass it.